around the world. This is the hot seat number 5. I'm sorry, not hot seat. This is a question and answer for week number 5. And like I said before, we can go over a bunch of stuff here. We can go over the content. We can go over the assignments that you guys turned in. We can go over any questions you have around client work or proposals and anything like that. But we're going to stay away from actually reviewing pieces of copy that you wrote outside of the mentorship program, and here's why. The review of a copy piece in a short time frame like this, it does not do your copy justice and doesn't do the amount of skill that you could bring to bear on the issue. So we're going to avoid those just because I don't want to send you off on the wrong path or make any assumptions based on bad research, but everything else is open and fair game. It looks like we have a couple questions coming in on the Facebook chat, but first things first, let me know if you can hear me. You shouldn't be able to see a screen yet, but let me know if you can hear me. All right, cool, cool. Awesome. All right, so y'all can hear me, and I think as when needed, we're gonna open up the screen versus not, just to show off some stuff, but if we need to for research. But right now, we're gonna be looking at the Facebook thread, and I'll be refreshing as we go, and this will just be audio for now. All right, Mike Renard is up first, one of our new students, and he's got a question that says, Lucas, working on getting this research process dialed in, can you take a look at the short research document on the Q&A today? Okay, yeah, so he shared a Google document looking at the research. I can tell you whether or not there's any questions or stuff that I would have here. So he says, wondering if it's a good end result for a research process or go deeper. Anti-aging skincare market. Okay. So I'm assuming, Mike, is this for one of your own products? Are you on a call? Let me see. Yeah, you are. Okay, for a client, so not for one of the assignments. Okay, I can give you I can give you a little bit of an overview, but obviously without knowing the sources or going through the research myself, it's all going to be hearsay. So I can give you what I can, but keep in mind it's not going to be like a full review or anything like that. I just want to make it abundantly clear that if I go, oh yeah, this seems like enough research, and the piece bombs, it's not my fault, because I'm looking at it for 5 minutes versus actually doing the research for a few hours. So as long as you're cool with that, yeah, I can go ahead and take a look at it. Okay, cool, cool. Let me do this real quick then. All right, let me know if you guys can see the screen. This is Mike's research. Cool. All right, so anti-aging skincare research document. Women ages 40 to 50. She looks good for her age, but she's starting to see some of the signs of aging crop up, fine lines, wrinkles. And she hates it, okay? She often gets complimented for her looks and skin, but started to not believe people because she looks in the mirror and hates the changes she sees. Interesting. Aging too fast, extremely self-critical. Every time she sees another woman, comparison happens. 2 possible results. Oh my God, she looks terrible. Shit, I hope I'm not aging as bad as she is. Or wow, she looks incredible. Damn it. So a significant amount of envy going on. The question that I would have here, Mike, I'm going to bring you on live. Do you have a microphone? Do you have a microphone, Mike? Let me know. Quick, quick, quick. All right, cool. I'm going to bring you on. All right, can you hear me okay? I see a chair falling over. How's it going, Mike?
Good.
So, so first things first, women ages 40 to 50. Did you get that from the research, or is that a guess?
That was from the research. That's also kind of the target for the whole company.
Got it. Okay, and why is that the target for the company?
I think that they're trying to, well, yeah, they're trying to position themselves as, anti-aging for women who are in that little bit older demographic where they're just starting to see some of those signs of aging versus some of the, some of the more corporate, bigger companies that are focused on maybe the entire market or also younger demographics.
Okay, so in the anti-aging market, I think that 40 to 50 is really, really young, at least in my experience with this marketplace. Um, Reason being, people start seeing, especially, if they're parents, like if they're young moms or something like that, they'll start to notice wrinkles and issues with their face and post-pregnancy issues, as early as their 30s. But then as you age up, like the anti-aging becomes more and more prominent as you age into the 50, 60, 70-year-old boomer crowd. Because the boomers are the ones who are kind of like the anti-effects of aging type people.
Right.
So I'm wondering if this is just kind of like all right, let's target 40 to 50 and see what they think type thing. So like you selected that target market and now we're looking at the research based on that lens, or if this was a strategic thing like all of our previous buyers are age 40 to 50.
It's a new company. So,
Okay.
I think it is really 40 plus, but a lot of focus on that 40 to 50.
But no sales yet. No sales to confirm any sort of buyer demographic.
They are starting to get some sales trickling in, but I mean, they're not running traffic yet.
So I think that's going to be the biggest indicator of who's actually buying this product, at least at the beginning stages. Because one thing I've noticed consistently over time is every single entrepreneur I work with and company that I work with really misses the mark on their age demographics.
Okay.
Like by a huge amount. I mean, even I was working with Agora, and they thought their guy was 55 years old. He was closer to 70.
Really?
So yeah, and that's Agora. That's 500 million a year.
Right.
So they miss the mark on these things, and that causes issues. I mean, obviously their copywriting can make up for it, and there's a lot of primal desire involved in anti-aging that doesn't really age out in different demographics. But the main thing is that if you make a reference to someone, a 40-year-old woman would recognize and idolize, say like a celebrity or a show or a song or something like that. The 50-year-old's not going to care about that. They might not even recognize them. And same thing with the 60-year-old and the 70-year-old. And then, obviously the bigger companies are trying to target the entire marketplace for anti-aging in general, but that makes them vulnerable. So if you can really nail the target demographic for this anti-aging at this age market, at this age bracket, then you have a competitive advantage over the big guys because your messaging hits them harder. Things like, this is obviously top of mind because I was reading something about it yesterday, but Chris Haddad calls it punch in the gut style copywriting, and essentially coming from the place of really understanding where they're at and then hitting them with a very emotional response type phrase like "Mommy, why are you so squishy?" or something like that. Or their 2-year-old reaches up and says, "Mommy, why do you have lines around your eyes? I don't have lines around my eyes." And the person's like 30 years old, right? They just had a 2-year-old kid or whatever it is. So there's these different ages that you can incorporate the messaging in, which makes it really powerful copy. But in order to do that, you either have to do what you've done here, which is start ages 40 to 50 and then do the research from that point, or start with a basis of customers that you already have, like, okay, how old are they actually who's buying our stuff, and then start looking into the research from there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
So where we're at right now with this is that we're going to assume that you guys just chose target market 40 to 50 because that seemed like the best place to start. And then the research needs to go out and really find out what this person is like. I can see that, especially for other beauty products, the primal desire of envy, like that desire to look good, to look better or the same as she did when she's younger. Her friends are aging better or worse than she is. She's seeing celebrities that don't seem to age. All that kind of stuff is building up inside of her. And especially if she's on the younger side of the anti-aging marketplace, then she's going to be feeling that as kind of like a growing pressure rather than a kind of acceptance of age. Like there's different types of anti-aging marketplaces. One of them is like, I have not accepted that I'm aging and I have to keep looking as young as I was, right? It's kind of like this, I need to look 25 type mentality. But then there's also the, all right, I get it, I'm over 40, I'm I need to accept the fact that I'm over 40, but I don't want to look like shit while I do it. Right?
Yeah, it's definitely the second for this company.
Okay. So if that case, then the language around looking at her peers is probably pretty strong. Where did you get this language here? Are you looking at the same as me?
That was from an interview. There's a couple of copywriters on it, and we did an interview with 2 women yesterday, and that was like direct quotes.
Cool. Oh, perfect. Yeah, that's good stuff. Being able to do the interview and actually cover. So did you get to record the interview too?
Yeah.
Okay. But these are direct quotes from that interview. Did you get to visually record it or just audio?
Just audio.
Damn. All right. Well, this is good stuff. Like I think this is accurate, especially if the age demographic is there. But again, without seeing the interview, I'm not entirely sure. If you can go back through the interview and listen to audio-wise, start to pick up the between-the-lines stuff. You know, like where do they pause? Where do they gasp? Where do they sigh? Where do they, feel the, like where do they want to say something and then they start over and say something else? Like those types of clues and hints are going to key you in on the emotional stuff on the background. Yeah. So, they might say like, and this is just an example, so I don't know if they'll actually say this, but, that they're worried that they're aging too fast and they're extremely self-critical. But, they'll start saying something like their husband mentioned something, and then they'll back off, and then they'll, keep talking about something else or talk about their friends or whatever.
Right.
And so there's going to be those types of clues in the audio interview, I think, that are going to lead you into a little bit deeper psychological profile of where they're at. But this is good stuff. This is really solid beginning stuff. Almost nobody has this. Okay, cool. I always take the. Was it like a focus group, or was it similar to an actual interview, like a podcast, or just sitting down with a friend?
No. So it was. I guess there was 3 copywriters on the call, but one of us was just, so the one guy was just asking the questions, and we all put questions together beforehand, and then 2 women that were on the call together, but they kind of they each had like an hour.
Okay, so it's like a 2-hour thing, but they each had their own hour.
Yeah.
And, okay, they got to hear each other's responses?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and what were the demographics of those 2 women?
They're in their 40s, mid to late 40s. I don't know their exact age. Okay. One of them is she didn't like create the products, but she's like the face of the company because it's kind of her husband doing it. And then the other one is a lady that she was just connected somehow.
Okay, that changes things a little bit. Because if the one woman is connected to the company, she's going to have language around they've already done and already thought about to market this product versus her own thoughts and her own raw thoughts.
Right.
I see it all the time in surveys to email lists and customer bases and things like that. They're going to use the language they already have to describe their problems, and that's not the same as a cold traffic audience. So if she believes, and I'm keying in on her specifically, but I think the other woman probably fed off of this and validated it. Then if she thinks this is why people do it, that's going to come out more in her answers than her actual reasons why someone would buy anti-aging skincare.
It was focused on her personal, like her story.
Right.
So, but yeah, there probably was some of that too. But so she's like, it's her husband that started the company, and then he essentially wants her to be kind of the face of it. And so it was pulling out her story so that we have, that kind of information as well. But then I was just pulling out stuff from the story and then trying to validate it in the market as well to create a lot of the stuff in this document.
Okay. So, all right, let's table this then, because it's good that you have like actual feedback from customers, but there's some variables in there that are too nuanced to really dig into right now.
Okay.
If
And that just has to do with her kind of being connected to the company and already having formulated a lot of that language in her head, probably, right?
Correct. Yeah, correct. Yeah, because they didn't start the company recently. They've been talking about it for years with each other, if they're husband and wife. And obviously, if he's an entrepreneur, the first thing they talk about is, how do I sell this?
Right.
So, you know, let's assume this for now, because we don't have enough information on this, and go down to hates feeling deceived, not being appreciated, feeling unattractive, feeling judged, identifies as a mother, a strong woman, sexy. Okay, yeah, like I talked about, the separation between, the kind of the acceptance, some of those types of stuff. I would say that I would say if it's superiority compared to other women, it would be envy rather than pride.
Okay.
There's a certain amount of like self stuff that comes with beauty. Obviously, like I don't want to look like this. I want to look my best. I want to personally be the best that I can be. But if it's compared to other women and like intrinsically motivated by other women aging slower or faster than she is, then it's going to be envy. And that's going to drive it faster because, self-improvement changes based on motivation. But envy is something that is driven based on other people. So if they're externally motivated by competitiveness with other women, then that's going to be a more psychologically powerful draw than, say, their need for self-improvement. Does that make sense?
Right. Yep.
Inadequacy, not good enough, self-hatred, loneliness, waste. I think just from my understanding of this marketplace at a very high level, you should also be looking at things like apathy. There's a hint of like, I'm 40 now, why bother? Or there's a hint of like, if they've accepted being in their 40s, there's always that thing in the back of their mind, like, okay, how long am I going to fight this, right? Because they are fighting it. They're fighting the aging process. So I would talk about that, and you can always appeal to that in the sense of, look, it doesn't take 15 creams and all these supplements and all this crap to actually stay youthful and healthy and vibrant. All it takes is this product, that type of thing. So throw a little, like, a little bit of that in there, and that might convert a lot better. Get them that idea that they don't have to have this crazy regimen to keep up with it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and we did a deep dive survey as well, and there's a lot of that kind of stuff.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so that just validates my assumptions. Obviously, validate everything else, but this is pretty strong right now. I would start. This is a great place to start with the big four. When you go through the validation, start looking up actual quotes from actual buyers, whether it's for your product or other products that do the exact same thing. You can look on Amazon, you can look on reviews on other people's sites, you can look on forums, you can look on Reddit. Probably not Reddit for these women, but potentially Pinterest, and basically look for actual interaction between people in this demographic, and basically copy paste their words into a document so that you understand what they're saying. One little hack you can do with that type of research is to take all of those actual quotes and words, keep them intact, but then copy paste all of them into a word cloud and do that word cloud and look at what they're really talking about. Like what are the main things they keep bringing up? That's going to give you an idea of like their internal language rather than their specific words.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that.
And so you can add that to this after fleshing out the big four a little bit. Especially if he's trying to go into a hyper-competitive niche like this, he's going to be, it's going to be hard. He's going to have to compete against Ezra Firestone and, He's going to have to compete against all the huge beauty companies at Sephora and everywhere else.
Yeah.
So the more you can dig into the research, the more you're going to have eyes on the big idea that's out there. And the more you understand the level of sophistication, which is obviously fourth stage for this type of stuff, the more you can simultaneously come up with an awesome big idea that's specific for this demographic, but also tie it into the face of the company, which is this woman who can, it can lead you to some fifth stage type stuff.
Okay, cool.
Cool?
That's great. Yep.
Does that help?
Yeah, no, it's super helpful.
Okay, do you have any other questions on it?
I don't think so. I think that's great. I might try and do, it would probably be good to just try and do some interviews that are not with people associated with the company, right?
Yeah, 1,000%. Either new customers, like new as in they haven't used the product yet. You can just ask them, hey, what drew you to the product in the first place? That kind of thing. Because that way they're not experienced with using the product and they, have results or don't have results or anything like that. You want to get them in the raw feeling. And then talk to other people just in the demographic who are probably going to be wanting this. Because if you're marketing to level 3 and 4, those are people who, that's an enormous cold traffic audience. So you're going to have to grab them in that kind of like desire frame or that problem frame. So either they're going to be like, man, I'm aging fast, or Susie's aging less than I am and I can't handle that. Or they're going to be like, how do I remove lines from my eyes? How do I, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
How do I get rid of sunspots? How do I get rid of this saggy skin, puffy eyes type crap? Right?
Yep.
Cool. All right, man.
Awesome.
Thank you.
That's super helpful. Thanks, man.
Yeah, well done. This is good stuff.
Okay, cool.
All right, was that helpful for everyone else? Just do a quick check to make sure we're still on sound and everybody else can hear. It wasn't just a talk. All right, cool. Cool. All right, awesome. So, next thing, let's do this. I'll pause that real quick. Come back here. All right, Dan, you had a question regarding the way I write. Let's see. Okay, yeah, let's do this real quick. So we'll pause right there. I'm gonna stop showing screen real quick. So the high-level overview of how I research stuff and then transition straight into the first draft. So a lot of copywriters like to think, okay, do a bunch of research and then go for a vacation for a day or two and just don't think about it. Some people work well like that if you can focus all of your energy on that sales letter. But one of the things that I found, especially in today's world, is we're very distractible, and something might happen in a day or two unless you can truly unplug yourself for 2 days and just kind of chill and do nothing while simultaneously letting this copy percolate. And on top of that, letting the copy be important enough to you to percolate in the background. That then, sure, I think that method still works. But on the flip side, especially if you're on a deadline or if you're working on a project that isn't yours but you still have to figure it out, you're not as passionate about it as you would be with something of your own, then my way of doing things is I let the research start the percolation process of how I want to write. The best way I can explain it is get into the mindset of a teacher where you're going to go out and do the research and look at all this stuff, write it down, keep the documents like how Mike created them, pull things together. And as you're doing that, you're going to start kind of getting into it. It's those first few steps of any activity that really gets you started into it. And once you get into it, you're going to get excited about it. And that excitement, once you're in the research process or you see a bunch of cool stuff, can then spill over into the first draft. And if you're still thinking about it in terms of a conversation, then you're basically just spilling out all this awesome information that you just found out about this product that can then turn into an actual coherent story. And one thing I can do, actually, I'm not going to show you everything here, but it's just going to be real quick. I'm going to go to screen number 2, and then let's see. You should be seeing screen number 2 right now. It should say IntelliRall. Can you see that? Okay, so this is just a first draft type letter that I'm writing right now for a client for a product called IntelliRall. It's like a whole green coffee bean type thing. It's a short VSL. It's not long at all. But okay, so this is my copy after I did the research and after I wrote a bunch of stuff down already and kind of wanted to have a conversation with the people beforehand, and then I went back through and I wrote what would actually be copy. What you see. Let's see, that is that. What you see here is kind of like my research / what I felt was important about the whole thing, and I copy pasted a bunch of stuff. I put ingredients in there. I put, things that it increased and decreased, and America's top rated hospital type stuff. Authority pieces. I started teaching people about caffeine and how it works, and why it works, and the effects of it, why it's bad, why it's good, what happens. And as I'm doing that, and as I'm reading more about caffeine and adenosine and the way that caffeine and coffee interact with our bodies and how we go through spikes and how it's kind of like there's issues with it, then I'm starting to formulate a story in my mind, and I'm starting to formulate an idea based on what I know the sophistication and awareness of the marketplace is. And by doing that, I can pop up here and say that my headline is, "Your coffee is slowly killing you. Here's how to fix it." That's going to capture someone's attention who is already a coffee drinker, which I know that 90% of Americans are, and they drink 300 to 600 milligrams of caffeine per day, primarily as coffee, and or their Starbucks or whatever their drinker of choice is. But this headline is going to capture them at the attention level that I already know they're at based on the research that I can tell them about. And then I talk about major problems. I talk about caffeine, and I don't get down to the actual product in my 4-minute video until down here, because I want to capture them with the conversation that came from my head after doing this research. And I do that through the mentality of being a teacher. And I do that through the idea that I'm doing this research not just so I can sell something, but so I can legitimately change the life of the person who I'm writing the copy to. Because if I can teach them something, if I can get them to realize something about themselves or about the thing that they're having a problem with that shifts their understanding of their problem or how they fix it, then I've legitimately helped them. And that piece of copy is going to be received better than just a straight up sales pitch in every instance. Even if it's a level 1 awareness and they just want to be pitched something, the more I can help them and shift them and teach them while simultaneously persuading them and giving them the information they need to go and purchase the product, that's going to be how I get my quote unquote shitty first draft out. And that's also, just to give you a hint, how I do a lot of the posts that I do on Facebook that attract people to me for either client work or for this mentorship program or anything like that. It's something where starting with the mentality of the teacher and starting with the excitement that is found after doing the research into your topic and then sharing it with people captures people. You kind of jump over the jitters or the blank screen syndrome or any of that kind of crap, because you're allowing yourself to do something that's active but not cognitively demanding, which is research. Like Googling something is not cognitively demanding. Jumping around and Googling other terms and learning about things is not cognitively demanding. But what you can do as you're learning is put it into the teacher mindset, and that gets you excited about writing and excited about talking. Does that make sense, Dan? Does that make sense to everyone else, or am I just totally rambling at this point? Okay. That's the shitty first draft. Or, you know, in some cases, that's a really good first draft. And then you start taking it through all the filters. You start taking it through a sales letter filter. You start taking it through an advertorial filter. Or you start taking it through a paid traffic filter. You start looking at it from an editing standpoint. I would highly recommend, if you guys haven't gone and bought it yet, it's very cheap on Kindle, Bond Halbert's book. And in fact, I might be able to find it for you. Bond Halbert Part 3 book or something like that. Yeah, the Gary Halbert method, or the Halbert copywriting method Part 3. And I think you're seeing this right now. So yeah, it's $10 on Kindle. This is a editing checklist that Bond Halbert wrote based on what he learned from his dad, Gary Halbert. I would highly recommend you get it. It's super simple. It's only $10, and it's going to help you a lot. So again, one of those things. Now, one of the things that I've noticed about the teacher mentality is you can't go too academic with people. You have to go like excited friend with people, right? You can't be a lecturer. You have to be like a, dude, I learned this thing and you are going to love it. So, you know, that's fine. But don't lecture them. Don't, you know, like you see down here, well, you did see on my IntelliRel thing, there was no rhyme or reason to the research and the information I put on the caffeine. It was all brick text. You know, it was a lot of the stuff that I was telling myself. I would never like publish that as an actual piece of copy because no one wants to read that. But the way I wrote it up top was like I was talking to them, and it was very punchy and quick and that sort of thing. So if that makes sense to everyone, I think we can move on to the next question. All right, let's see. Okay, cool, Debbie. Hopefully you're listening. Are you on here? Awesome. Good to hear you. Good to see you, Debbie. Let's see. Brian asks, could you talk a bit about how services marketing differs from product marketing? Yeah, sure. Brian, were you in the Next Level Group Mastermind a long time ago, years ago, when I made a post about this? Are you on live? Okay, good. No problem, Dan. I'm glad you got something from it. A couple of people did. Okay, so I made a post about this in Ryan Levesque's Next Level Group Mastermind, probably in early to mid 2015, so it was a while ago. But long story short, it was a big thing about how you can't market services the same way as products. And the reason being, a product simply is. It exists. It's either an information product or a physical product. Like a pen is a pen. There's only so many features you have for a pen. And you can duplicate a pen so that the pen looks identical, and you can buy 5 of them or 10 of them, and they serve the same function regardless of how many you buy or anything like that. It's a product. You can physically see it. You can touch it. You can use it. It has a specific purpose. A service is an intangible thing that you can't even use until after you've paid for it and then implemented whatever it is that service does for you. So, for example, personal training is a service. You buy personal training. You buy an hour of a personal trainer's time, and that hour then purchases you the block and the expertise that that personal trainer has in order to help you improve your body or your health or your flexibility or whatever it is you're going for. You have to keep buying those hours and keep doing the work that's really hard. You have to sweat your ass off. You have to be sore. You have to do the right nutrition. You have to do a lot of stuff. And even then, the stuff you're paying for is intangible. The results you're paying for are intangible. And eventually you might see a result off in the future, but it's not like buying a pen or buying a microphone or buying a computer where you can hit a button and it turns on and boom, you've got your thing that you paid for. It's an intangible thing based on a result or an outcome that you want. So you can't sell a physical thing the same way that you can that you sell a service. So how do you sell a service? Long story short, the easiest way to sell a service is to do it exactly opposite of what a product does. I've just found that typically works. So if they say discount a product, increase the price of your service. If they say sell a shit ton of product, sell very few services. to very few number of people. If they say sell a product to everyone, then sell a service to a very specific type of person. If they say add more features to your product, then niche down and get really, really specific on what your service offers. And that's kind of like the frame that I would put you in. Without knowing a specific service and how to market it, that's the overall principle of marketing services from products. And that's why a lot of people who sell services, copywriting, marketing, freelancing, consulting, funnel design, personal training, like one-on-one style coaching, real estate services, all this kind of stuff, those types of people have a real struggle because every single marketing product out there is created to serve product owners, not service providers. And a lot of people say, well, productize your service. That doesn't work unless you want to scale it to a certain level, like an agency level. And even then, to give you context, how you scale an agency is not how you scale a product business. You do not sell $1,500,000 per month packages for service. That is completely unscalable. You can't have 1 million account managers. You scale an agency by figuring out the largest demographic of high-paying clients that you can target and charging very high fees for the services you provide, and then hiring the smallest amount of people necessary to fulfill on those number of clients. That's how you scale an agency. For example, if you want to work with Gary Vaynerchuk on your social media and you want him to do everything for you in his agency, it's $35,000 a month for him to manage your social media. $35,000 a month for him and his team at his VaynerMedia with his 500 or 600 employees to manage your social media. And if you're Pepsi, that makes sense. If you're Nabisco, that makes sense. But if you're Joe Schmo's Pizza Shop, that's retarded. And so it can't work. But that's how you scale services. Now, if you're a service provider and you want to work 2 hours a week and you want to make $10,000 a month, yeah, that's doable. You can do that in a heartbeat, but you're not going to scale it. At least you're not going to scale it doing what you're doing. So big principle-wise, do the exact opposite of what products are doing. When you get down to the tactics, it depends on the specific service you're providing and who you're providing it to, just like copywriting. Does that make sense to everyone? Mike, in response to your question, yes, David Frey's 12-step sales letter is awesome. Harry Belcher's 21-step is great. There are other templates out there in the marketplace for various types of things. There are even templates in services like funnel scripts or Scriptall that exist, keeping in mind you're not actually using the software in the way it was intended. You're simply using it as a frame or a filter to go through and kind of like shore up the copy you've already designed. Let me just do an aside here. Funnel scripts and Scriptall and any other software that comes out that claims to write your copy for you is a complete scam for 99.9% of the marketplace. It just is. Because they're basically selling you the best, shiniest, most automatic hammer that you can buy in the hardware store and then telling you to go buy a house or go build a house with it. Like, yeah, you've got the best hammer that you can find, but if you have no idea how to build a house, you're just going to hit your fingers that much harder when you're trying to build the house, and your house is going to look like a lean-to in India. It doesn't work, and it will not convert if you don't actually know copywriting. If you know how to build a house, then sure, go buy a nice hammer. But you don't need a nice hammer. You can have a regular hammer, and it'll be just as good, but you can go buy the nice one if you want to help you out and do things a little faster. Does that make sense? If you're worried about those types of softwares taking your job, then you haven't been paying attention to my content, because the need for freelancers to go in and unfuck the stuff that people are trying to do with these tools is going to be immense in the next year or two, because people are going to be like, well, I bought funnel scripts and I don't know why it's not working. I mean, Russell told me that it was going to be the best thing ever, and I did what he said and it didn't convert. And I'm like, well, do you know who your target market is? And people go, well, what's a target market? I'm like, well, there's your problem. I'm not sure, Miri. It was a long time ago. In response to Brian Mead's question, there's another book that you guys can go look at, which is really good. It's called Selling the Invisible. Edie, if you'd search that on Amazon and share that underneath Brian Mead's comment, that would be amazing. Selling the Invisible. I forget the name of the author, but it's an excellent book. He's got a bunch of other books. You can buy them if you want. But Selling the Invisible is a good one because it shows the difference between a service and a product. I wouldn't necessarily use all of his advice in that book. I think there's some of it that's outdated and some of it that's more specific to like a really high-level business consultant versus like a Facebook person or a copywriter or something like that. But the general idea of what you're selling is good, and there's good pieces in there to guide your philosophy. And also later on in this course, you guys are going to be getting my specific advice on how to market your copywriting services in the how to attract leads and how to sell high-ticket clients type modules. So those are going to be very powerful for you in the tactics, but that comes later after we've gone through all of that. Selling the Invisible, a good one for services. But Miri, yeah, to answer your question, I'm not really sure. If you search Selling the Invisible in NLM, it might be way back there, but I'm not sure. Cool, good, yeah, it's a good book, Brittany. All right, cool, cool. Laura asks, how do you find the real primal desire? I've seen notes in the assignments from people showing you the primal desire of the target market they're writing to, and it has been 2 or 3 primal desires. I can't seem to understand how to find it. Okay, oh, thanks, Edie, for sharing the highlights of the Selling the Invisible. That's awesome. So, Laura, how to find the real primal desire. So, the real primal desire is the one that keeps coming up over and over again after you've validated what people are saying and how they're feeling about it. So when you're looking at the research initially, it might look like there's a lot of people who are saying different things about the topic. That's part of the research. You got to absorb that and get that all in one place. And then you keep going through it and you keep going, okay, well, this person says they want to look younger and they want to get rid of the bags under their eyes. This person says they're tired of feeling like the old one out of their their friends in their group of friends or something like that. The more you see and the more comments you hear and the more reviews you read and the more people you interview and the more research you look at demographically, there's going to be one primary thing that keeps popping up over and over and over again. And you're going to grab that and you're going to try to define that psychologically. Like, why does this keep popping up? If somebody says, I want to look younger, and that's something that comes up every single time, dig into that phrase. If you can, get onto the phone with someone and ask them that. Like, you said you wanted to look younger. What does that mean to you? Why is that important to you? And then you dig down using those, the 4 whys, basically, and the answer you get is probably going to be the primary primal desire. And this is how it is with copywriting. I can't tell you it's specifically this for this market at this time frame because it always shifts, but the more research you do, the closer you're going to get to the real primal desire and the more you're going to be able to speak to their actual desires. But it's also why A-list copywriters sometimes have to rewrite their letters. They miss the primal desire. They miss an important part. So once you've done this research, now you have the cannon fodder to go and actually make changes if something doesn't click right away. Does that make sense? Laura? Okay. I wish I could give you the answer. Honestly, guys, I wish I could just say, do exactly this and it will always work forever. But it's just not true. So the most I can give you is the best tools and the best mindsets to go forward and use forever, because that's going to help you find the closest answer. All right, Cisco says, one of the super helpful tips I got from this is write as you're talking with someone. One thing I want to sit down and record the first draft is as I'm talking to a friend. Have you tried this? Yeah, if you're a talker especially, or if you really do want to like sit down and literally record it, absolutely do that. I know some copywriters who record almost all of their sales letters via audio recording and then transcription. I know some people who can do word perfect copy right off the top of their head. And that's awesome. Like, to give you an example, I worked with Ryan Levesque, and that was, towards the beginning of my copywriting career. And one thing that Ryan was absolutely incredible at was, getting a really good copy idea right off the top of his head. So that's how we worked. He would be driving in his car and he would see something and he would click on his audio file and he would talk about it for a few minutes and then send me that email, or that in an email. And I, as the copywriter, would go, okay, here's how I'm going to turn that into an actual piece of copy that makes sense. But a lot of it was Ryan's ideas, and we were using his ideas for copy in the emails, and that's kind of how my style morphed, because he was so good at doing it out loud. Not a lot of people can do that, but if you can, absolutely use it. There's no like hard reason to do one thing in one way. If you're a talker, if you're a writer, if you're a video person, maybe you're a person who has to talk to someone else. Like, get a Skype recorder and start recording your calls with someone else. It doesn't matter who it is, and record those and get them transcribed or look at you, and that's fine. It's just whatever your particular methods are, start using them now, because the idea that you have to do it a certain way is killing a lot of writers because they feel like they have to fit into a box that they don't fit into. Laura, it changes based on each product or service. Let me give you an example. Your primal desire for wanting to stay healthy and fit is going to be different from your primal desire regarding your mortgage. Good. Yeah, me too, Cisco. All right, another question from Cisco is, the marketing medium's intent is very different from each other. Facebook is creating pattern interrupt, connects with the prospect, sells the click, sells the product. PPC search is totally different. Would you say that depending on the KW, market awareness, can be grouped together into specific levels? What's KW, Cisco? Keyword? Is that what that means? Keyword? Okay. Yeah. So yeah, to give you yes, every single marketing medium has a different intent and a different style. So I would start getting familiar with the ones you tend to use the most. For me, it's Facebook. But there are certain ones that lend themselves to certain awareness levels better than others. Google is better for higher levels of awareness because people are searching for solutions or people are searching for problems. The way they search and the words they use are going to be extremely important to your marketing. As a copywriter who's writing copy, you don't necessarily have the benefit of putting 1,000 keywords into an AdWords ad set and then cutting out 950 of them after you test $1,000 in budget because only 50 of them worked really well. You don't have that luxury all the time. But if you can do that, definitely do that, so you can kind of figure out what people are searching for right now and how that kind of stuff. But the other way to do it is to go through the research I showed you in a previous Q&A where you're looking at people's keywords on SpyFu, you're looking at keywords that things they pay for and have paid for a long period of time. That's going to start where you're at. With Facebook, you got to understand you're usually marketing to a higher or a lower level of awareness, so like a 3 or a 4, because people are on Facebook to be distracted. However, that does change based on your demographic. Like if you're marketing to online business owners, many of them do business on Facebook like me. I don't sit on Facebook and just waste my time all day. I'm on Facebook because I'm hustling for clients. I'm writing content. I'm working with my students. I'm on there for business and I use it for business. So if I see an ad, I'm in business mode. I'm not necessarily in, distracted interest mode. So if I see something I like, but I don't really want to look at it because I'm working, I'm going to save it and then probably forget about it. So it's completely contextual based on the target market. Does that make sense, Cisco? Awesome. All right, Dan, thanks for sharing that headset with Chrome Speech. There's a couple others. There's Dragon, Naturally Speaking. Apple has a really good speech recognition. all that kind of stuff. All right. Okay, cool, perfect. Thanks, Cisco. All right, any other questions? We've got time for probably one more question during this Q&A period. Brian is typing, so I'm gonna wait on that. But if nobody's got a question, then we can end this a couple minutes early. Nope, nobody? All right, well, looks like that's it. If nobody has any questions regarding the content or anything, are you guys all doing okay with the content so far? Is it too much? Is it not enough? Are you getting something from the actual modules? I haven't gotten a lot of questions about the content. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's understandable. Okay. Perfect. Yeah, Brittany, that'd be awesome. Thank you. Okay. So as long as you guys are getting something from the content too, because I get a lot of questions like, research, focus, and stuff like that, which I get, I understand. That's the number one question most copywriters ask about when they actually kind of move past this, I don't know how to write type phase, which you guys are way past that at this point. So, cool, cool. All right. Okay, I think it's over. Rip ears. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I think it was just one. But on that note, now that everybody's awake, and so am I, and all the dogs are awake, I think that's it for us, unless anybody has any other questions, and I'm going to get this uploaded as quick as I can. So thank you all for your attention. Sorry for the crazy beep at the end. And have a good one, guys. We will be chatting on Facebook and turning in your assignments on Friday night. And yeah, have a good one, guys. Talk to you later.